The next section is Introduction to Defect Management. Defect management is an important phase in testing life cycle. There is a person called defect manager who will be responsible for analyzing the defect or making sure the defect has been fixed and retested within the agreed timeline. This defect management process will ensure whether all the defects are raised, analyzed, fixed, responded and retested within an agreed timeline. This defect management is said as the backbone to the development team or to the entire project team is because the faster the defect has been identified and the earlier the defect has been identified, fixed and responded, the faster the product can move to its next phase. Let me put you with an example. For example, the testing team started testing a product on its SIT phase and they have identified couple of issues and raised that to the development team. If the development team is not responding within the agreed timeline, the product cannot move from SIT phase to the UAT phase. Similarly, if there are couple of defects identified during UAT phase and the defects are not fixed within agreed timeline, or if the defects are not responded within agreed timeline, or rather the fixed defects are not retested within agreed timeline, the product cannot move to the production. The product cannot be launched on the agreed date. So the launch itself is getting delayed. So this defect management process is really important to make sure the product is going to the next stage with higher quality. How it works? This defect management is not a separate process. This defect management works in parallel with testing and development activity. When a build is given to a testing team, the testing team will start working on that build. They will start testing the build and they will identify definitely a couple of issues and they will raise it to the development team. This defect manager will make sure the development team responds within agreed timeline. The development team, as soon as they responded for the defect, the testing team will perform the next activity, either closing the defect or retesting the defect or responding for the comment given by the development team. Everything will be done from the testing end. This test manager or the defect manager will be responsible whether both the teams are responding to the defects within the agreed timeline. Here, this defect manager will be responsible for managing all the defect report and making sure this defect report will be used in the future for references. How you will use this defect report in future? For example, once the product is moved into production, later there is a defect coming in the production. You will definitely go back and see in the defect report whether the same defect has been identified during the testing phase. If it is identified, your next step is what is the method we took to handle that defect, how we responded for that defect, how long it took to respond for that particular defect. All these details can be easily identified using the defect report and you can easily find a solution for the production issue and you can immediately make sure that is working in the production within 1 or 2 hours. So this is the main reason that defect management is called as the future reference, or it is a knowledge based report. I will show you how a defect report looks like at the end of this section. Thank you. Stay tuned for the next lecture.